A study of Russian military bloggers and ZWAR correspondents shows why Putin is so desperate for a ceasefire and is using all possible leverage, including using Donald Trump, to influence the US. The Russian army is on the verge of exhaustion, and the ongoing offensive has run out of steam, losing momentum. A member of Z channels directly talk about the colossal losses of Russian troops and the catastrophic situation at the front. The army is experiencing an acute shortage of equipment, ammunition and human resources, which forces the command to look for ways to gain time at any cost, particularly revealing where the words of Russian military correspondent Anastasia Kashevarova, who published a detailed post about the real state of affairs at the front. In the first months of the invasion, Russia lost its middle command staff due to miscalculations and false expectations of a meeting with flowers. Mobilization revealed large-scale theft. Equipment and supplies were only on paper. Everything was stolen. Generals reported with beautiful reports instead of ensuring real success on the battlefield. The situation has reached the point where, according to Kashevarova, the Russian army needs a break. Otherwise, the situation will turn into a full-scale catastrophe. The choice is either full mobilization or peace negotiations with army reform, she writes. However, Russia's mobilization resources have been exhausted. There is not enough equipment, including tanks, artillery and ammunition. There is an acute shortage of funds to maintain a large army. There is no equipment or uniform. It is practically impossible to dress and shoe the new wave of mobilized soldiers. The problems with training personnel are so serious that in some cases, donkeys have to be used to transport goods due to a lack of equipment. Previously, other Russian military bloggers pointed out the situation, including Kalashnikov and Golikov, who in their publications openly whined about the total fatigue of the army, huge losses and a complete lack of support from the rear. According to open sources and messages in Russian Telegram channels, the Russian offensive attempt has effectively stalled. Losses in some units reach 70% of personnel, which threatens the combat capability of the entire group. Against this backdrop of disaster, it becomes clear why the Kremlin is so eager to secure a ceasefire. Putin, realizing that his reserves are running low, has pulled out all the stops to force a pause in the war. Sources say Russia is using diplomatic channels through its allies, including pressuring the United States through Donald Trump.
President Volodymyr Zelensky said Ukraine needs strong agreements with the United States. According to Associated Press, speaking in his nightly address on Thursday, the Ukrainian president described his meeting with U.S. President Donald Trump's Ukraine envoy Lieutenant General Kellogg. He said they had discussed the frontline situation, the need to release all our prisoners held in Russia, and the necessity of a reliable and clear system of security guarantees. One that ensures this war will never return and that Russians will never again destroy lives. We all need peace, Ukraine, Europe, America, everyone in the world, he said. Zelensky also spoke about recent strikes on the Russian territory conducted by Ukraine forces. For every $2 invested in our long-range capabilities, we already ensure almost $10 in Russian losses. This is the dynamic we need. Russia must feel the cost of war to truly want peace, he said.
Я дякую кожному з наших партнерів, які розуміють, що потрібні сильні позиції і на фронті, щоб захищати людей, і в дипломатії мають значення і сила, і правда. Доповіді були щодо діпстрайків по російських військових об'єктах і по інфраструктурі Росії, що обслуговує війну. На кожні 2 вкладених долари в нашу далекобійність ми отримуємо вже майже $10 російських збитків. Це потрібна динаміка. Росія повинна відчувати ціну війни, щоб дійсно хотіти миру. Генерал Келлог, зустріч, яка відновлює надію, нам потрібні сильні угоди з Америкою, угоди, які справді спрацюють. Я доручив працювати швидко і дуже виважено. Економіка і безпека завжди мають йти поруч, і деталі угод мають значення. Чим краще прописані деталі, тим більше результат. Обговорили із генералом Келлогом фронт, необхідність звільнити всіх наших полонених, які утримуються в Росії, а також необхідність надійної і чіткої системи гарантій безпеки. щоб війна більше не повернулась і щоб росіяни не ламали життя. Мир потрібен всім нам. Україні, Європі, Америці, всім у світі.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said on Wednesday it was important that the upcoming meeting with U.S. National Security Advisor Keith Kellogg and overall cooperation with America be constructive. According to Associated Press, speaking in his nightly video address, Zelensky reiterated that Ukraine wanted the war to end from the very first second. That remark followed comments by U.S. President Donald Trump, who accused Ukraine in an online post of going into a war that couldn't be won, that never had to start. Trump also described Zelensky as a dictator without elections.
Багато зустрічей, нарад сьогодні, командування армії, розвідка, міністри для підготовки до перемовин з представником президента Сполучених Штатів Америки. Генерал Келлог вже в Києві. Він вже зустрічався з главкомом Сирським, з нашими керівниками розвідок та спеціальних служб, також з керівником мого офісу. На завтра запланована наша зустріч з генералом Келлогом. І для нас дуже важливо, щоб зустріч і взагалі робота з Америкою була конструктивною. Разом з Америкою і Європою мир може бути надійніше. І це є нашою метою. Головне, щоб це було не тільки нашою метою, а спільною з партнерами. Тим більше напередодні вже третіх роковин початку цієї війни. Війни, яку ми в Україні хочемо закінчити від першої ж її секунди.
UK Defense Secretary reacted to US President Donald Trump's recent comments about Ukraine starting the war, saying that Ukrainians have been fighting for their freedom and that maximum pressure must be applied to Russia. According to Associated Press, his comments came as a response to relations between Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and Trump deteriorating rapidly Wednesday, as Zelensky said Trump was living in a Russian-made disinformation space. Trump called Zelensky a dictator without elections, in comments that were sure to complicate efforts to end the war. The Trump administration has started charting a new course, reaching out to Russia and pushing for a peace deal. A shaken Europe is grappling with the new U.S. course under Trump and worrying about Washington's long-standing security guarantees to the continent. Speaking during a visit to Kherson, Norway, near the Russian border, Healy stressed that Norway is NATO's front line and the region serves as a reminder that Russia is a threat well beyond Ukraine. Tor Sandvik, Norwegian Defense Secretary, said both countries plan to work together with the U.S. to further protect NATO's northern flank.